O.L. Schultz was a great guy, sailed with a laundry basket as a spinnaker bag, Commodore in 1978, and a customer, if you will, of hospice, Alive Hospice in 2012. A couple of years after that, Gene and Cindy discovered this event and they brought it to the Harbor Island Yacht Club, and our first year, I think, were the highest earning for the first year, we were the highest earning yacht club in the country. So we've got a really great experience here this morning. I want to thank all of our sponsors, the food from Tagus McGinnis, Paul and Dana Latour have come through again, as usual, Yazoo Beer, and the rest of them that you can see here, Minuteman, who designed this new logo. Before we get started, I do want to give a shout out. He hates it when I do this, but Gene and Cindy have pulled this all together. Let's hear it for them.
I'm President and CEO of Alive Hospice. And as I say, it is a privilege to be able to be here. Today we celebrate our 6th anniversary of the Harbor Island Yacht Club Alive Hospice Regatta. And to be able to benefit an organization that has a universal mission. We don't want to think about it, and I think that's why events like this are so special. And for Gene and Cindy to really be willing to push people out of their comfort zone, but to be able to acknowledge something that's so meaningful and important in life, and that's the end of our life. And that every single one of us will experience the loss of somebody we love. And every single one of us one day are going to pass away. We don't want to think about that, and it's not a topic that's really talked about, but it is something that when you need it, and it'll happen in a snap of a finger and in a flash in a crisis for you, you will be so grateful that it's here and or that you know about the end of life and ways to be able to prepare yourself. What makes this so special is Alive is the only not-for-profit serving Middle Tennessee for hospice services. In 2018 alone, we did just under $2 million of unfunded and underfunded care. So when we talk about our mission, and that's to provide loving care to people with life-threatening illnesses, service to the community and support to their families, all in a spirit of enriching lives, that's what we have the blessing and the gift to be able to do every day. So we don't just talk about our mission, we live our mission. And special thanks again to Harbor Island Yacht Club and Gene and Cindy for being willing to be ambassadors and to be able to share our message. At Alive, we take care of all ages. We have a perinatal hospice program that's for moms with babies who won't survive delivery. We have 6 children on our service right now. Children aren't supposed to die, but occasionally they do. And the opportunity to be able to be here to catch not only these children, but their families and their siblings, not just through their end-of-life journey, but through the grief support, and to be able to help these families figure out what a new normal is. Because I can tell you, when you lose somebody you love, you never get back to normal. Our grief support service is there for anyone in the community, regardless of if you've used our hospice services. And so with that, if you know somebody that's had a loss, doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter how, our team is there to be able to support you. And I can tell you it's not mental illness. Grief is love. And so with that, seek support, get assistance, and again, because you're never going to go back to normal, but it's how you define a new normal, so that the person you love is with you to be that strong foundation that lives through you every day, and not a weight that really brings you down. It is a blessing to be able to be here. We are so fortunate. We take care of all ages, all diagnoses. You really can't even begin to imagine some of the challenges that we encounter every day. We have an active ethics committee, and there are so many challenges that face this end-of-life space. But interestingly enough, it's absolutely beautiful. And I think in some ways we have the happiest employees at Alive because we understand the fragility of life. And we choose to live differently because we know what the alternative can be. So a huge shout out and a thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for giving of your time. Thank you for giving of your dollars. And I'll use this. I think we've raised well over $100,000 in our 6 years to do this. You continue this dream for us. And the phrase that Gene shared with me, and this is just perfectly exemplifies our lives, is that and it's a sailing phrase, is that we can't adjust the winds, we can only adjust our sails. And that's what we do at the end of life. We have no ability to change the outcome, but we absolutely can change the journey. So on behalf of Alive Hospice, our board, and all of our staff, and all of the patients that you help serve, it really is our thanks and a special privilege to be a part. Have a beautiful day of racing, and thank you.
I'd like to echo the welcome It's truly a privilege for me to devote this weekend of fun and fundraising to two of my greatest passions, sailing and hospice caring. You know, I came to sailing young. I don't remember not knowing how to sail. I've sailed all my life, and it has been a mainstay. I also came to hospice care young. I was a medical student at Vanderbilt in 1978, studying under a gruff teddy bear of a drawling oncologist by the name of John Flexner, and with a psychiatrist who had some experience with Dame Cicely's hospice program in Britain named David Barton. And you know, John recognized that toxic chemotherapy perhaps wasn't the only way or the optimal way or the best way. And they decided that this community needed a hospice, and they started Alive Hospice, and I've been privileged to be part of that program my entire career. And I spend time engaging hospice almost every day. My patients are sort of used to the phone ringing in my pocket and my excusing myself because an angel on earth is calling, a hospice nurse calling me about one of my patients. So we're here to remember those who gave us on earth, the hospice nurses, the chaplains, the social workers who work with us and our families in our journey at the end of life and in our grief, the administrators and all the staff that support them. Alive Hospice really is a wonderful organization, and their participation in this event, I think, is an illustration of that. And we're here for each other, and I thank you for your presence and your participation. As familiar as I am with hospice, I had a unique experience last year. My mother had a great life. She raced competitively until she was 82. She was an avid spectator until the last week of her life at 88. She had a great life. She also had a good death thanks to hospice. She had a large stroke and essentially snored the remaining 5 days of her life away. And I had to wear a different hat. I wasn't the experienced physician well-versed in hospice care. And the hospice nurse who attended her gave me a gift of a lifetime. She said, you know, Bruce, when it's yours, it's different. And you know, I think that speaks to the prescience that hospice nurses are blessed with. And it's occurred to me that it's not only different when it's yours, your family member, your loved one. Someday it'll be different when it's me. And I am just heart-warmed and reassured that when that time comes, hospice, and I hope Alive Hospice, is there for me too. So thank you for letting me share my story, my enthusiasm for sailing, my enthusiasm for Alive Hospice's care and supporting the cause. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gene and Cindy, and all the volunteers for putting this weekend together. Thank you all for traveling and participating today.
As we finished our 5th year last year, and as I served as Commodore, I asked Mark Fortune to pull together a group to say, let's evaluate this. What do we like? What do we need to change? What was most important? And what can we improve? The one constant in everyone's voice was the Memorial Burgess was the most powerful and meaningful thing to the sailors and those who participate. This is just an idea that, you know, I do a lot of memorial services and funerals. It's just an idea to do something. And all of a sudden, this thing's just taken off. In the last, the small boat race 2 weeks ago and the race today, we flew 50 Burgess in the first weekend. We're going to fly all 100 this weekend, which is remarkable. So the memorial the Burgess service, here's the way it goes. The Sea Scouts will do a presentation, and then they will call up the skippers. Now, when we were planning this and having this reevaluation, I had one person in our club who is very passionate about hospice and very passionate about racing. He's a physician, other than Bruce Richards, the Latours. And Paul says, Gene, what can we do to get more boats out there? And I said, I don't know, Paul. Let's think about that. And as I got to thinking about it, I says, Paul, would you be willing to buy a burgee to honor every skipper who sails in this race? He said, I'll do that. And we thought it might be 20 boats or 30 boats, or for the 2 weekends, it's 52 boats. So every skipper who races will receive a burgee in your honor and thanks for racing in this race. So the Sea Scouts will come forward. They will say the name. They'll say Skipper Latour. And Skipper Latour will come forward, stand on the blue mark, and then they will read the names of the burgees that have either been purchased by that skipper, his crew, by the Alive Hospice community, or just someone in the club. You will take these burgees, you will get your zip ties, so be sure to get enough zip ties for every burgee you have. You'll put them on your backstay, and you will race with them. At the end of, on Sunday, you take your burgee and anyone that you or anyone on your boat purchased, and then bring the others and put them in the basket, and we give them back to these families and people who have done this in memory or honor of things. So that's the burgee service.
Sea Scout Ship 851 would like to welcome you to the 6th annual O.L. Schultz Regatta. The burgee presentation ceremony is meant to remember and honor those persons whose names are on the burgees. We ask that you show your respect by remaining silent during the ceremony. I will be calling the names of each skippers. Upon hearing your name, please step forward to receive your burgees. Please note that the scout will salute you as they present the burgees. We will ask that you give a return salute. PRO Richards. In memory of Helen Richards. In memory of Bruce Campbell.
Light A Fleet.
Now listing names of the Light A Fleet. Skipper Latour. In memory of Ted Latour. Skipper Anderson. In memory of Walter England. Skipper Carson. In memory of Tracy Lynn Hamilton. Skipper Garone. In memory of John F. Killian. Skipper Hoffmeister. In memory of Keith Holloway.
We will also be sailing today in memory of Jim Ward.
Thank you.
Ding, ding.
Skipper Nazer. In memory of Rudell Nazer and Harold Werhagen. Skipper Smockler.
Jacqueline Alderman.
In memory of Jacqueline Alderman. Skipper Weichert. In memory of Bernice Keffert, Henson Carpel. Skipper Webb. In memory of Chester Falterman.
Heavy A Fleet.
Now calling for Heavy A Fleet, Skipper Beasley. In memory of Fred and Mildred Beasley.